Hello, and welcome to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast, where we discuss business, real estate, lifestyle, and travel. I'm your host, Eric Andrews, founder and owner of Brick and Mortar Detroit Real Estate Brokerage. I started this podcast for boots on the ground insights from not just one, but as many industry professionals that I could find. Today's guest is Brandon Cooper. Hey, Brandon, what's going on? Welcome, and thank you for coming on the show.
What's going on, brother? Thanks
Not
for
too
having me
much.
on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm excited to have you, and I am excited to hear more about you and your business and what you've been doing over the past years. And so, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and your bio?
Yeah, for sure. Native Detroit, West Side, born and raised, Michigan State. We met at Michigan State University.
Yes, we did.
Background in tech. Also dabbled into a lot of different industries in terms of intellectual property inventions in my early 20s, but ultimately tech is at the center core of my passion, and been in that since I was 15 from my uncle who got me into computers. So yeah, it's a quick background on me.
Gotcha. So, when you say inventions and everything like that, are we talking like coding? Are we talking about like robotics? Are we talking about the full gamut? Give me a little bit more information. What do you think?
Yeah, I was really just building things like a child imagination, just creating hardware products, things that I felt were useful. And a lot of them failed, like anything else. You really just create things, and they will still work to this day, but it's really just about timing at a market. And yeah, but that's what got me into creativity. And then now I channel that into software.
Very nice, very nice. And so, what are you working on right now? What is your latest invention or business, or tell me about it?
Yeah, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Aphid. We're an artificial intelligence company. We've created an ecosystem that allows robots to work on our behalf so we don't have to work a 9 to 5.
Awesome.
The average person spends over a lifetime 90,000 hours at a job. A lot of people don't know that, but
Nobody wants to talk about that.
Nobody wants to talk about it. But it really just came from working myself as an employee myself, and knowing I didn't have enough time, and just had to ask ourselves, where is that time going? So created Aphid after leaving Apple. I worked for Apple as a senior technology advisor for 7 years, and got with one of my other co-founders, and we started a company.
Awesome. Very proud of you. Very proud of you.
Appreciate it.
Wow. So, when did you know that you wanted to get into business?
I would say it was my freshman year in college, and I got a random message from a stranger on Facebook at the time, and he's like, "Yeah, we're having some people over my apartment. If you want to make some passive income." It was network marketing, so I know you know what that sounds like.
Yes. I remember.
And there's a couple people in there. I think it was at least 4 or 5 people at the apartment, and it was a guy on the TV. He was talking about Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrants, and the other people that were there, they were laughing, and then they walked out. But after that video went off, I remember sitting there on the couch, and I stared at I was staring at the TV. It was off, but I was just staring at the TV, and I was like, "Yeah, this is what I've been waiting for," because I've always been away from the system. I've always been an out of box thinker, as you know, you as well.
Yeah.
And being an out of box thinker has always propelled me into where I am today. So yeah, that's when I knew. That's when I for sure knew. I've told other people, second grade, I was looking around other students like, why are we second grade? I'm like, what are we doing this for in second grade?
Like mines, man.
Second grade, man. And but yeah, and it kind of just went away, and I just went with the flow. But then that was the second awakening for me.
Very good. Very good. And so, is this the first business that you've created, or it is?
No.
I
would say, so the Inventions was a company named with one of my childhood best friends, Brian, which stands for Why Didn't I Think of That? And we would just create different inventions. But we created one called, at the time it was called the S3, but it was an apparatus that sat on the table for restaurants. If you had chicken bones, so they didn't stack up on your plate or napkins everywhere, you could put them into this device and you didn't have to see it. So as soon as they leave, they would just take it and dump it and then replace it with a different sleeve. And I mean, it's still useful today, but it had wet naps on it, ketchup, mustard, salt, pepper. But that was, I would say, our first invention. And then we went on to create Wasted Beer Pong, which is a beer pong app. It was a mobile application at the time. We were, I want to say one of, if not the first of like African Americans to create a mobile app at the time. It was really like, oh, he has a mobile app. So it was really cool to open that up for tech. And then lastly, we created an app called Proximity, which allow you to walk into a room and you hit search and you can see everyone that's there and you can snag all of their contact information with one button. So you didn't say, hey, what's your LinkedIn? What's your Twitter? What's your Facebook? What's your, you would allow me to see what you want me to see. And I would see Eric Andrews. Yes, I would just hit the button and it would grab the information. So these things still work today. But it, again, it's just timing. So I'm okay with talking about the quote unquote failures. But yeah, that's a few of the first inventions that we had.
That's beautiful. That's definitely beautiful. So as far as Aphid goes, like I get what it is, but I'm kind of interested in knowing, like, I guess present and then future. So in the next year or two, kind of where do you see that going? How do you see that being implemented? How do you see that working with, you know, what it is, obviously? And then on top of that, in the future, do you already have a vision for how it's implemented and how it's going to evolve with the implementation of the present strategy? Does that make sense?
For certain. Present day, over the next year or two, I foresee us having a big community, big ecosystem of people manning the bots per se, like a gig economy, people looking for a side hustle. So the way that it works in essence is you as a user are a robot controller, a digital bot controller. You guys have seen bots before. They typically have a negative connotation to them, but in this case, it's working on your behalf because everyone's like, oh, robots are taking our jobs. Well, the only way that we're going to be able to get our time back is if robots do take our jobs. The difference with our ecosystem is you get paid for it after they complete a particular task. So you would go into a marketplace and choose the bots that you want and you license it out. You pay the developer for that particular bot and that bot works on your behalf. So there's no code involved. You don't have to be technical. It'll track all of your analytics, so how much the robot has earned you, as well as how much time it saved you over a lifetime, all in a mobile application. We have it in private testing right now. We're going to integrate the payment systems for the subscriptions, but that's already we're gearing that up to get that going over the next quarter or two, so people can get in and start testing it. A lot of community growth. We have like Telegram and Twitter. But collectively, we have over 50,000 in our community.
Very nice.
Tapped into the Aphid ecosystem, and we're growing. Mark Cuban is subscribed to us, so we're getting a lot of traction and things happening for us. But yeah, that's over the next year or two.
Okay.
And then after that, we really just want to be, as I say, the General Electric of AI, where we start integrating into hardware products as well. And that's more into the future, but most of what we're going to do is start digital. We haven't even announced this yet to anyone in the public. It's the first time me saying this, but we will be tapping into the metaverse as well.
Very good. Very good. And so like, as far as, I mean, future, it sounds like metaverse could be definitely a good part of the future. So how are you going to implement it into the metaverse? Same strategy or something totally different?
It'll be a different strategy. We won't let it out just yet, but people can put two and two together a little bit for what that's going to look like. But the digital avatars, you'll be able to use that universally throughout various metaverse worlds.
Very good. Very good. So say, for instance, I'm just trying to get it, for anybody who's still just trying to grasp maybe exactly how they could use it, right? Because I'm sure people are like, oh, robots on my behalf. I'm excited. I definitely am excited about that. And definitely getting my time back. So say, for instance, maybe not a realtor, but maybe somebody that works in a call center or works from home or something like that. How do they use these bots to work for them?
Yeah. So if you have a website and you go to a website, there are virtual assistants that pop up and say, hey, welcome to the website. My name is Eric. How can I help you? These are all preset conversations that you set up in your web portal with Aphid. So they click certain buttons to say, I'm interested in your service, or I want to learn more. And they click the learn more button. It'll say, all right, thanks for selecting learn more. Here's the information on our company. Is there anything else I can help you with? Yeah, I would like to book a time. I want to schedule it. And the robot can say, here's my Calendly link. Click here to set up a time on my calendar. Meanwhile, Eric is at the gym, working out,
living his life,
living your life. And this particular robot is working on your behalf. So now you have almost like a real estate employee, but you've just cloned yourself because ultimately you're saying the same thing to new people every single day. It's repetitive, and you start adding up these hours. It's a lot of time away from things that you could be doing, especially if you're a small, medium-sized business. It's very advantageous for you to leverage your time. So that's just one use case. Other people may have, like that helps with time too. It could also help with sales because that's going to increase your sales. A virtual assistant can help you increase sales by up to 67%. And then it's also 24/7. Robots don't get tired. Robots don't call off work. Robots don't get sick. And then other use cases, like people in my family, I have like a cousin, he does trading. He will be utilizing the trading bot where it automatically trades stocks, forex, or cryptocurrency on his behalf. So he'll most likely be interested in the trading bot. But it's really endless. If it's someone who's older and they need a reminder to take their medicine, they can download a medicine bot to say, hey, remember, take your medicine. It's 3:00. And then you say, yes, I just took my medicine. It says, great. And then it sends it to the doctor that's attached to it.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so how'd you even come up with this?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. I love the question. It's the Nikola Tesla tapping in. I'm big on meditation. I'm big on, as I say, receiving downloads. I believe prayer is an outgoing call and meditation is a download. So it's coming down. Prayer goes out and then receive. And whether you believe in God or not, it can be spirit guides, or you can be the collective brain or whatever you want to call it. It's really just information that was downloaded to me when I was meditating one day. And don't call me crazy, but the spirit really just told me we're going to take over from here. And Aphid was created just from that, because I knew I was like, the job workforce just wasn't for me, but it was more like a how. And I said, I wish I could clone myself and have a version of me doing this. So I did, but I still got paid from it. I could be at the beach and looking for an insect that could clone it. I was looking for a creature in general that could clone itself. And I stumbled upon this thing called an aphid. I was calling it Aphid when I first saw it.
Gotcha.
But it's called an aphid. They drive farmers crazy. The babies are pregnant. So they can get pregnant through asexual reproduction, meaning they don't need a partner to be pregnant. So they have generations of babies already inside them as they're having babies, and they reproduce at a really fast rate. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to call the company Aphid.
There we go. I'm like, what was it? Aphid? What the? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yeah. See, here we go. That's why we're in this having questions answered. I like it. And so you're the co-founder, and how many people do you have in your actual, I guess, workforce for your particular community?
Yeah. So in terms of our internal team, we're close to about 25 to 30 on the team.
Gotcha. And so then what is your day-to-day like, from Monday through Friday? I'm not sure if you work Saturday and Sunday as well, because you're still trying to get things going until we get these bots. But so like, what's your day-to-day like, Monday through Friday, starting from maybe 9 a.m. to about 6? What is your day-to-day like?
Meditation in the morning. And I need to get in the gym is what I need to do. But yeah, meditation in the morning. And then it's right to emails, checking in with my team and seeing where we are on certain projects and timelines, putting out fires. So if anything is coming up, it's always something that needs to be done, something that can go wrong.
Absolutely.
This is week to week, but in terms of where I am now, opposed to where we were a couple months ago, is a lot different because we're in the midst of fundraising. So right now it's just a lot of meetings and talking to investors to close out our seed round.
Awesome. And so are you at a stage where you can say that you still like what you do? You still like your day to day, or is it kind of like you're just trying to get through it so that you can kind of get to the next phase of being, the owner of this company?
I've learned to switch my perspective and embrace and enjoy this journey. This is the movie that everyone will be watching. So God had to make it good. And I may not like it going through it. And I mean, it's tough right now. I'm like, okay, I've learned the lesson. All right, I'm ready for the fruits of the labor, right?
Absolutely.
But I'm embracing the journey because once you win the championship, you can't win the championship for the first time anymore. You can win again, but eventually you reach a level where it's like, okay, now what? Right? Like I could see myself having a big house and all of these different things, and it's like, all right, now what? Right?
Sure.
So I'm enjoying this journey. Hopefully, it doesn't go too long, but I'm enjoying this journey and want to use it to inspire other entrepreneurs, especially the ones who look like me too.
Yes.
That they can go out and start a company and be successful. And I think success isn't monetary. It isn't fame. It's success is loving what you do. So yeah, I wouldn't trade what I do for anything at all.
I totally agree with that. And I think a lot of people kind of get caught up in, to me, it's kind of the scam or the ruse or the allure, but chasing the dollar, right? It's everything's monetary for most people. Happiness is monetary for most people. But at the end of the day, you get caught up in that so much. You can have all this money and still not understand why you're not in touch with yourself. You're not happy, things. It's just like Christmas. How many of us, we finally get what we want? 2 days later, you're moving on what you want, something else, right? And so I totally agree with that you can't just kind of chase that monetary gratification because it just won't really do that for you. Do we all want money? Yeah, absolutely. But
it's a zero sum game.
Yeah, exactly. It can't
we always want more.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. And that meditation and kind of grounding yourself and bringing yourself back to being grateful and gratitude is kind of a really good counterbalance to some of the, I guess, constant programming that we're given about, big cars or big houses or the most expensive this and that and the other. Because at the end of the day, they're just a hunk of metal, they're just a hunk of wood, whatever it is. And so if you don't have any value in your day-to-day or what you're doing, then your life's probably just going to end when it ends. And then you're just looking like, didn't really enjoy the ride. I didn't get the lesson, but you never really tried to get a lesson. You try to get $1. So that's a little different. So did you ever see yourself running a company of this scale?
Yeah, for sure. Steve Jobs is always someone that I saw how his energy just carried through. Like he has whether it's Kobe or Steve Jobs or Brady or whoever it may be, they all have something in them where they're masters of their craft.
Leadership.
And that's always interests me. So I think running a company was inevitable for me. And I didn't know the timing of, when Aphid is my Apple, right? Like to Steve Jobs is Apple. So yeah, it happened at the right time. I'm at a pretty mature space in my life and right headspace. And my goal now is just to keep that energy balance. And we as a human race have to destroy the ego. I think the more you learn, the more you just want to surrender more of ourselves to the grand purpose, as everything is already written. As much as we think we're in control, it's just a simulation. And
yes. I'm still trying to get that lesson, B. I'm not going to even lie to you, but we are not in control. We're just not. There's very few things that you can control or whatever, but for the most part, if you're spending every day trying to control every little thing, trying to keep your schedule how it is, you're just going to be mad all the time because you can't control every little thing in the world. There's so many things working at one time that you were just kind of a small part of, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
I totally agree with that. And so it's not crazy to you at all that you're running a company. This is what you foresaw for yourself.
For sure. For sure.
Awesome. Awesome. You see it, you can believe it. Okay. So what do you wish someone would have told you that would have alleviated a lot of stress during your journey?
Mm, good question.
There we go.
I think you hear really the first thing that comes to mind is just getting a mentor early that can help you escape some of the pitfalls that they have already been through.
Mhm.
And a good mentor is kind of like been there, done that. But in terms of black tech, this is more of a budding field. So it's not many people. There are general business people that can help mentor you, but it's different when you're in a budding industry for our people to look for mentors who have been there, done that, and they're not on a high horse. Or we deal with crabs in the barrel in this industry too, where there are gatekeepers and people who aren't trying to help you. They're just like, hey, how's it going? But they're not really trying to say, hey, let me pull you up a little bit. I've been
Right.
seeing you moving. Let me try to help this brother out.
Yes.
And it's so for me, I was constantly looking for mentors and I attempted, and I had to kind of become a mentor myself because I had mentees myself. But I had to become a mentor, unfortunately,
Sure.
and use that to. I didn't want to be what I despise in other leaders,
Sure.
but I definitely see why people become successful. People call them jerks and a-holes or whatever. It's because you work so hard and you reach out to so many people, and no one's trying to help you. Help, like the saying goes, help ain't coming.
No.
Help is not coming, and it's not even you're trying to. It's like training wheels a little bit, where you just like, hey, a little assistance, a little resources, and everything is commercial. Is people just have titles and, oh yeah, I'm an investor. I'm this and that. And are you a check writing investor? Are you having meetings for the meetings? It's a lot of fluff out here when people are pump faking. It's not. It's all surface political BS, and you have to navigate those, and that's what I'm learning. So anyone I mentor will save themselves a long time on things that don't actually work.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, one thing I definitely will say is I think a lot of us were taught that looking busy or being busy just to be busy is kind of like business. And I don't feel that that's true. I feel it's inefficient. A lot of people, you may spend all day talking on the phone, right? To 4 people, 5 people, whatever, however many people you can cram in a day. But you could probably email 6, 7 people at one time, or, you know what I mean, text and talk to all these different people about whatever subject matter and kind of be a little bit more efficient. And I've just met a lot of people who they're more so, like you said, concerned with the fluff, concerned about looking good, looking like they're busy, having meetings to be having meetings because, oh, I got a meeting. Okay, but what are y'all talking about? Are you being productive, right? And quite frankly, if you're being productive, then maybe you don't need this many meetings, you know? So I don't know why it does that. But anyway, so where would you say a person could find a mentor? Because I feel like, you know, I listen to shows or whatever it may be, and people, they say things, but then they never really give you a little bit more in-depth information, like as to where would you find a mentor, or, you know, how would you go about maybe enlisting a mentor, especially because a lot of people don't want to help you, you know, or the other trap is, oh yeah, I'll be a mentor. Next thing you know, they're trying to like enslave you, you know, or have you working for them or kind of doing their bidding as an internship, which internships are fine, not to say that they're not, but some people will prey on that and kind of use you. So what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think finding a mentor is really from, and I'm not a big advocate of networking events, but sometimes it's an energy that calls you to a person, and you really just know, say this person will be a great mentor to me. Someone who's older, for sure. Not saying that someone younger can't mentor you, but typically the people who are older have more experience than you. So if it's someone that has a good vibe and you may see them on a panel or whatever, and you guys hit it off, that he or she would be a great person to reach out for if the match is there. You just you have to go off energy is what I'm getting at. Otherwise, you can do mentoring from afar. There are ways to, because like Gary V, or you can listen to old Jim Rohn or whoever it may be. These people can keep you motivated and can mentor you from afar. They're giving you a lot of these tips and business tips and pockets that you don't have to pay for.
Sure.
So I utilize a lot of YouTube and mentoring, as I say, mentoring from afar. Eric Thomas, mentor from afar for me. And luckily I did a Clubhouse panel with him last year. So that was big for me because I always looked up to Eric since we met at Michigan State.
You told me about Eric Thomas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. So these people give you information that you need, but if you can't find anyone that's saying anything to what you're currently going through, then that's when you'll need someone in person. But until then, you can kind of hack it.
Absolutely. I think that's really good information and good advice. So then what would you tell people that are looking to get into business? So I'm going to break it into two questions. General business, but I think yours is such a particular niche that a lot of people have no idea where to start or how to crack. So if you're just looking to get into business, what would you tell these people? And then we'll address the other part of the question.
Sure. Yeah, someone's getting into business. You have to, the biggest thing to establish when you're creating a company is your why. If you're starting a business as a side hustle, as a landscaping company, wherever it may be, you really have to just educate yourself. You have to go to Barnes and Noble, wherever it may be, or just order online. I like hard covers, but I like audiobooks too. But whatever works best for you to learn in that industry of the business you want to start, just soak it up and listen, read that chapter 1 over and over and over. Don't move to the next chapter. Just read it over and over and over again until you retain it. Because we can go through books, but how much did you retain?
Absolutely.
I had 2-3 years of Spanish in high school, and I probably can't have a whole conversation with you in Spanish. Denzel says the training day is not what you know, it's what you can prove.
It's what you can prove.
It's what you can prove.
Boom, boom, boom.
So can you prove you know what you know? But that's the first thing to do. And then the why has to be big enough for you to stay in that business, because when people have an unrealistic expectation of what it takes to really run a business, it takes endurance and stamina. And if your why isn't big enough, you're going to tire out. If you have a team, you have to keep a team motivated. Can you manage a team? Are you good with people? Are you a jerk? These are things that people don't think about. And then do you have the bandwidth to work a job and work the business at the same time? You don't want to jump from the plane prematurely and you don't have a parachute and you're trying to figure out how you're going to make money thinking that your business is going to make you money. It's good to leave once you have, I don't like safety nets, but I just want to say you have a family. Some people have kids listening. Sure. It's a different situation for them trying to get into business because they have mouths to feed. I can't give them the same advice because they can't take the same amount of sacrifices. But people who don't have kids, they can take a leap and take more risk.
Yes.
So if you don't have kids, you can take all your risk. I mean, just fall hard if you, not to the intent to fall, but just know you can always get back up and It's lower consequence. You can always bounce back.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to fail. You probably will. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be like the end all be all. You can get down about it, but you do have to get back up. And sometimes your first business ain't gonna be the one. Like how many of us have started several businesses and they become nothing? People don't rock with them. They don't interact with them, so you just got to keep going and keep trying to reinvent yourself sometimes and, destroy and rebuild. I've destroyed and rebuilt a few companies quite a few times, and only now am I starting to see the success and the establishment of what I've been doing over like 10, 20 years, right? And so for some people, of course, it would be a lot quicker, but for many people, it might be about the same. And like you said, if it doesn't have the power to pull you, then you will teeter out, right? And so that's just not really how you should set something up, because things are really exciting usually in the beginning, but eventually business is hard. I mean, the phone calls, the constant phone ringing, the, constant meetings or things that are unexpected, the things like you said, putting out fires all day, every day. It's exhausting, especially if you do have a family and it's not just you or even just a spouse, you have
Correct.
to also pay attention to them as well. So
Yep.
absolutely. So now let's address the second part of the question. So for your niche specifically, because it's pretty specialized, I would say.
Yeah, for this particular niche, I would just say tech. Artificial intelligence is another realm in itself.
Sure.
Computer science, data science. But for tech, you have to decide: are you a visionary person? Are you the idea person? Or do you want to be the architect, which is coding? So you want to learn programming languages and learn how to code. There are different programming languages out there, from Ruby to Python. You've probably heard of HTML, CSS. We were doing that back in the day when we had MySpace.
Sure.
You would copy, or Black Planet, you would copy and paste it into your profile. That's code.
Yeah.
So people are used to code already, but it never transitioned into we're using it. We weren't creating it. We were just using generators for people who are already coding it.
Yes.
So what a programmer is basically is you're talking to a computer, and the computer only knows the language of that language. So you let the computer know. Like if I speak to you now and I say Wan Shanghai, that's Mandarin. If I say Buenos Dias, that's Spanish. So you either say, I don't know Spanish, you're not going to continue back. So the computer is the same way. You would say Python, and then it says, okay, I know Python. Right. Talk to me.
Yeah.
And then you tell it what you want it to do, and then it spits that back out into a technical form. So anything that you use requires code. The iPhone, your Android, all of that is through some type of code. Even when you make payments at a particular at Target or the grocery store, you're using a debit card, there's some code running in the background from companies, Oracle or Amazon Web Services. Things are processing in the background that you don't see, that allow things for you to happen. So we as a people, especially, are consumers. We've never been, for the most part, creators of this. And it's a great opportunity for people to look for different resources online and learn how to code. There are plenty out there. It used to be Lynda, but they got acquired by LinkedIn. Udemy, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, that's it.
Code Academy. Just to learn, just to learn different languages. But you have to be built for that. You really have to be wired in for that particular type of life. So if you're not that kind of entrepreneur for tech, then that means you're the idea person, but you should hire someone who's the opposite of you. So if you're a more left brain person, hire a right brain person. If you're a right brain type of person, you should hire left brain people to offset your thinking.
And so are you the architect or are you the idea person?
I am the idea person. I am the visionary person. While I do know programming languages, because I'm educating myself as I go.
Of course.
But yeah, I can get in there if I need to and build out a lot of the machine learning models and such. But I'm in the process of doing a lot more on the practical side. So it's really just more of me sharpening my sword on my own. But we have our CTO and the rest of our team that specializes in that. But I think the easiest way to summarize that or to put that into a box is you should treat it like Ocean's 11. You have the hacker, you have the person that knows explosives, you have the thief, you have the negotiator. That's your salesperson. Inception, they had the dreams. The person got in the dream, he was the thief. And then you had the person who was the architect who built the worlds. Ariande was the name in there.
Yep.
So that's your technical person who creates your website or creates your mobile app or whatever it may be. So you can see the examples in the real world. It kind of, or Italian Job. Look at all these movies of people who specialize in a certain skill set. That should be your team. And what I'm getting at is a team. If you're a one-man show, when you die, your business will too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you, because I am kind of a one-man show. A team is where things happen. You know what I mean? And a lot of things happen at one time and people are starting to make things move. And that's how you scale upwards, right? Because you're not spending all of your time trying to do everyone else's job like your bots. You're freeing yourself up so that you can think, for one, and kind of figure out what's your next best move versus just, doing things to be doing things, or the fluff, or whatever you want to call it. So what would you say is your general entrepreneurial advice to anyone who's just trying to start out and get established in any type of business? Similar to the last question, but I'm feeling like you're probably going to give me a different answer.
A shift in mindset and grounding yourself before you go out and do the business. So it kind of circles back a little bit to the why, but I think it's just recalibrating everything about yourself and taking a look at the different paths of where you want to go, and choose what's the reason for you to do this particular business. It's not strong enough for the most part to say it's just money, because you'll make money and then you'll be like, and then you can lose money and never make any money. And you're like, I'm stressed out.
Oh man.
Really just choose something that you love. But I think the bigger pool of people are the people who don't know their calling. They don't know why they're here. They don't know what kind of business they can start. Because you can give people ideas, you can do different things, but again, their why isn't in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah, it's a good idea. Because look, you don't have to. You can sell spatulas and make $1 million.
Yeah, you gotta like it though.
You can sell the packaging for salt and pepper, or lids for cups or straws, and make $1 million. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be something that that's new.
Yes.
And at this day and age, it's hard to make anything new anyway. Something stems from something, but we have to get out of the habit of saying, "Oh, I want something to be new." I was just fortunate because I'm a creative person. I can create things that are a little more out of the box.
Sure.
But for other people, it may not be as easy because it doesn't come to them naturally. Yeah.
Absolutely. Gotcha. And so we talked a little bit about books. And I don't know, I'm going to break this probably into 2 questions too. We'll start with Robert Kiyosaki, because you and I both, that was kind of like a connecting point for us. What is your favorite Robert Kiyosaki book? Which one do you think spoke to you the most? But if you were starting off, like, which one is probably the best one in your opinion?
The best one. So the cash flow quadrants really prepares you for financial education. I think that is the most important. The most impactful for me was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it showed you one path of his biological family, and then you had the second dad, which wasn't his actual dad, that was doing things completely different, and he ended up going with his non-biological father's path.
Absolutely.
And that's tough for a dad, because some parents are they're hey, I'm a doctor, you're a doctor too. Sure. And there's nothing you could do about it. You're going to go to school, and this is what the family's been doing. And some people don't have options. Now, they can kind of do what they want when they get older.
Sure.
But people become the prisoners of their own home too.
Yeah.
So I think that's tough. I think that's a conversation in itself. But the cash flow quadrants is really important, because we live in that E quadrant all the time. And it's the one that there's no benefit to that quadrant, because you could be at a company for 20 years, and I gave you 20 years, and they're just like, oh, we're downsizing. Sorry, bye.
Yeah.
And you're just a number. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just business. Absolutely. And you can do everything right for 10 years straight.
Yeah.
But if you cost the company $3 million because you made a mistake and hit send in the software, or something happened that you leaked out a picture or something, you're gone.
Michael Scott.
One mistake.
Right. Exactly. No, I totally agree. I love Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'd say as far as those books go, if you don't know anything about business or you don't know much, that's a great place to start. It'll definitely give you some ideas, on how to think. And I think that that is the biggest change that people can make is oftentimes if you come from a poor family or a family that mismanages money, or even if they have a ton of money, but they just don't know how to manage their money, you're going to probably do the same thing. It's not like something you just pick up without trying to be educated about it. Cash flow quadrant is definitely one of my favorites as well, just because it starts to give you an idea of where you are, how to think if you are here, and if you want to move here, and what the differences are. And it just really starts to give you, I guess, some semblance of understanding where you are in the world, in your life, and a good starting point to kind of get to launch from. So those are definitely two of my favorite books by Kiyosaki. But overall, what is maybe your favorite book that you've read for business, period?
Overall, it's super cliche, but I always think about the genesis is Think and Grow Rich,
Hmm.
and this by Napoleon Hill.
Mhm.
The secret is really the movie on Think and Grow Rich. Is really just the law of attraction. But what I didn't get after reading it the first time was it doesn't matter if what you're telling your brain is true or false. It only believes what you tell it. And that is the biggest key for me that I took away from that book is you're only going to exercise what you tell yourself. But another key, I think, for a quick gem is people don't understand how the brain works, and we're not taught how our own brains work,
For a reason.
and that 5% of what runs our show so is on the conscious level. So when people have vision boards and all these different things, it helps, right? But that only accounts for 5% of the show. So when people are like, man, I'm thinking positive, I'm doing this and nothing's happening for me, that's because the subconscious runs 95% of the show. And from the time when you're little up into about the age between like 5 and 7, maybe 7 is the ceiling. This is from Bruce Lipton. Sets the highways and constructs the brain for everything that's going to happen for the rest of your life.
Neural
So whatever happened
pathways.
to you during your first 7 years is what your brain knows, and it's now set the precedence for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
The only way that's why they get you in school to keep you conditioned for a certain way of thinking.
Yes.
Not every school, but just there are
Most
some schools
schools.
better than those, but you know what I mean. Not bashing education, but the only way to reprogram your brain after that is during the state in between when you're awake and you're asleep in the theta state.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, it's a hypnosis method that you can use to program your brain, whether it's recording audio of yourself or listening to someone else. And then whatever it's telling you, it sticks in your subconscious. It's the reason why we know music songs instantly and we can't remember what we remembered in school is because there's something tied into whether it's string theory or have to do with audio and music, how we retain things in the brain.
Sure.
So that
Vibrations.
so you program yourself in between that state, and that's how you reprogram your brain. So the subconscious is the audio tape basically that's running in the background. Now
Mm-hmm.
your 95% of the show is different than what's not necessarily different, but it's matching what you really want on your conscious level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you've ever really tried to change your thinking, like consciously, sometimes it hurts. And like you have to literally create neural pathways in your brain so that your brain can basically decide on how to do new things. And it takes a while sometimes. And so it's not an easy thing to change. And, a lot of people probably, like you said, they start doing it or something like that, but eventually you just kind of shy away from it or it's not working soon enough. And, it takes a while sometimes for your brain to make these changes. It takes 28 days to even form a new habit. So,
Correct.
You definitely have to just stick with these things sometimes. So I was going to say that one of the books that changed things for me, and I don't know why, it was this book. It was very simple. It's called The One Thing. And it's like your why. It basically is like, what is the one thing that's important? Always basically prioritizing and boiling things down to the one thing you need to be focused on in this moment, in this minute. You can have a list, but you need to choose one thing. Like, and when you finish that, and you boil it back down to that one thing, you finish that, and that will get you kind of through. And it's kind of like your why, but you need a reason, and you need to be able to kind of refer to that reason. And if that's not the reason anymore, then you got to kind of pull back and decide, well, what is? Because maybe you do start a t-shirt company or something like that. And maybe it's not banging, or maybe it is banging, but maybe you just decide you don't want to do it anymore. And some of these things are just you have to kind of decide what you like. I think a lot of us have been conditioned to like what other people like, or what other people say is cool. But maybe you want to do watercolor, and somebody around you is going to be like, that's stupid. You know what I mean? You got to do watercolor anyway, and you got to know that you like it. And then from there, you might get a whole business out of it, but you have to first decide what you like and what you don't like. And that'll also help you put your company together, because when I was in corporate America, there were a lot of things I didn't like. I don't do them in my company, but that's my choice and that's my right. And that's why I started a company, because I don't really have a place in corporate America, I don't believe, personally. So anyway, those are my big things. And so my last question to you, I know you haven't been here in a while, so I might have to make it really general, but what is your craziest Detroit story? If you don't have a craziest Detroit story that you're willing to share, then what is your craziest story, or what's your most embarrassing story, or just give me something worth my time.
Okay. I have a lot of stories, man. If you're talking about stories in general, non-business related.
Yeah. We'll get real casual, but whatever you want to share, of course, you have a persona that we are concerned about. So, whatever you feel is appropriate.
So no one knows this, man. I don't even care about saying this.
They will know.
When I was at Oak Park, we were playing basketball, and one of my friends ran up to me, and you know how people play around and they pull your shorts down. But when he did, the way I'm saying, I don't even know who it was, I was like, oh, right. But ended up grabbing the underwear too, and it all came down. But my shirt, covered it. But I was like, I hope nobody saw me, but it was so embarrassing. I don't even know if anyone saw that or even know this story. I was so embarrassed.
Was it a lot of people in the gym?
There was a lot of people in the gym, but I think only the people that were pranking or something saw it and was laughing or something. But luckily, man, if my shirt was any more small, oh man, it would have been out, man. You talking about embarrassing?
Oh, they would still know you today. Remember that Brandon Cooper?
Remember that Coop, man? Yeah, man. Childish stuff.
Man, that stuff sticks with you too, because I had that happen to me too. Actually, I was on top of a hill though, so at a park, and somebody did that. So looking around at everybody at the park, like, man. So yeah, pretty embarrassing, I must say. Gotcha. All right, so a quick word from our sponsors. Is work or real estate getting you down? Are you feeling burned out or depressed? Well, there's a solution you can use right from the comfort and privacy of your own home computer. Center for Establishing Recovery is Metro Detroit's leading provider for e-therapy. If you're in need of a listening ear, contact Center for Establishing Recovery at establishingrecovery.com. Again, that website, Establishing Recovery at establishingrecovery.com. If you have a question or topic you're interested in having us discuss, or are interested in coming on as a guest, advertising, real estate services, or sponsoring an episode, go to brickandmortardetroit.com/podcast. Again, that website, brickandmortardetroit.com/podcast. Brandon, is there anything you'd like to share or promote before we end? Any links or websites? This is your opportunity.
Yeah, if anyone who wants to sign up for the Aphid mobile app beta, you can go to aphid.io, aphid.io. Just enter your email, and then when the mobile application is available for you, you can go in and test it. But yeah, just stay inspired for all the entrepreneurs that's listening. Just don't quit. as much as you can. Just keep swimming.
Awesome. Well, that's it for today. You've been listening to the Brick and Mortar Detroit podcast, where we discuss business, real estate, lifestyle, and travel. I'm your host, Eric Andrews, founder and owner of Brick and Mortar Detroit Real Estate Brokerage. I started this podcast for boots on the ground insights from not just one, but as many professionals that I could find. As always, don't just dream, build your dream. Follow us on Instagram at Brick and Mortar DET. For everything else, brickandmortardetroit.com/podcast. Brick and Mortar Detroit podcasts and newsletters reflect the opinions of only the authors who are associated guests of podcasts and do not reflect the views of Brick and Mortar Detroit LLC or any of its subsidiaries or affiliates. They are for informational purposes only and are not a recommendation of an investment strategy or to buy or sell any home, security, or asset in any market. They are also not research reports and are not intended to serve as the basis for any investment decision. Any third-party information provided therein does not reflect the views of Brick and Mortar Detroit LLC or any of their subsidiaries or affiliates. All investments involve risk, including the loss of money, principal, and past market performance does not guarantee future results. We always recommend you enlist a professional entity for any investment decision you may be considering.